So if I follow Muhammad, I'm going to end up where he is. But if I follow Jesus, he showed there is an afterlife by resurrecting. And he says, I am the resurrection. And by resurrecting, shows for humanity that there is a resurrection. So that's the one I want to follow.
There's a problem with your approach. So you believe Jesus to be God, right? You're Trinitarian?
I believe Jesus to be God, yes.
Okay, so you're Trinitarian. So what you're doing is you're comparing a God, in your perspective, with a human being. You've agreed that at the time of Moses, alayhi salam, if you had been there, you would have rejected him despite him being a true prophet of God, because you have a criteria that isn't applicable, doesn't determine the truth of the prophethood. Okay. So for you, it's not really about whether you're a true prophet or not. It's actually about whether you resurrect or not. There are 4 Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Yeah.
So Mark, you took. Why did you take Mark away?
Mark is not really for me.
Because he's not a disciple.
No, he's not really a disciple.
And then you took Luke away.
Because Luke's actually good. Because he was actually we'll put Luke in. But he was not actually a disciple at the time. No, he wasn't on time. But Luke is good.
So Mark is not an eyewitness. Luke is not an eyewitness.
I mean, Luke was not an eyewitness of the cross. No.
Mark not neither.
Mark was an eyewitness of Jesus' teachings and sayings.
But he didn't see the crucifixion. He wasn't there.
Christianity. We were trying to have that discussion, but to be fair,
it didn't happen.
No, it didn't really happen because people were just shouting and screaming, and it just wasn't nice, to be honest. So that's why I said to him, look, next time we're down, let's have a nice chat. It doesn't have to be a war like what was going on. So
that's not discussion, is it?
Yeah, exactly. So let me ask you,
No, but the problem,
you're born in a.
Can I say something?
Sorry.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
The problem is
Yeah.
when you will start to talk to him, to have conversation with him, the other day camera they will come, they will start to record.
But I said you don't record it there, didn't I?
Yeah. So what the brother is saying is that I'll just tell them that the brothers asked that not everybody record, please. So we'll just leave it like that.
Good. Yeah. Because in the end,
I understand.
In the platform, insulting.
No, I understand. I understand. So, sorry, what was your name? Ish. Okay. Dr. Imran and Abbas. Yeah. Not pleased to meet you. Let's shake our hands. Let's start in a nice way. Yeah. So you're born in a Muslim family.
Yeah.
And you said that you were practicing as well.
Yeah,
I think you said last time.
Yeah, I was practicing going to the mosques and what was like the imams, they were told us read in Arabic and just do your prayers.
Yeah.
They never really went much into the history of Islam.
Or the meaning of the Quran.
So I'll just get you just get taught into Islam, do your 5-day prayers and fasting, this and this.
Yeah.
That's how, when I was practicing Islam, that's what I meant.
Yeah. So you wasn't when you were practicing, you weren't really convinced intellectually or anything else.
I was convinced it was truth.
I'm saying intellectually, as in you didn't understand what you were reading, or you never were told what you're reading. It was just like, this is what you got to do.
Yeah.
So you just went through like a box ticking,
Arabic,
like a box ticking exercise.
Yeah, we were just told to read in Arabic, and sometimes they would tell us stories of things that happened, of the Prophet's lifestyle, lives, but not like I wouldn't so you read the Quran, we just got taught to read in Arabic.
I understand.
There's no English translation with it.
So I think I remember asking you last time that since you weren't really taught Islam in even a basic academic way, then would it not have made more sense to first research it properly before choosing something else?
Oh yeah, that's what I said to you. So obviously when I first became a Christian, I started having doubts. I was like, okay, I cannot just become a Christian just like that.
Yeah.
I had to look at other scriptures, other stuff like that. And then when I actually looked into Islam and properly had a look into it, I was like, I don't think, for me it just doesn't make sense. How can it be
true? It didn't make sense to you, yeah? Can I ask you where you went to look about and learn about Islam? Where did you go?
I just look at some hadiths, just reading it because his companionship, what the Sahabas wrote about him.
No, I'm saying, but did you go to a website or a scholar, or where was your main access to understand Islam?
Some of them were from the Quran, and some of them from what I was when I was asking people about Muslims about why this happened. So and obviously when some actually Christians would tell me stories about him as well.
Yeah.
And I would look into it and I find it to be true. That's when it changed my mind.
Okay. So one of the things that I would say, and what I would ask you, is that if we want to learn about any subject in a sort of an impartial way, is it good to go to lots of different places to learn that, or perhaps access scholarship or scholars to actually attain the knowledge as is properly representative of the religion?
Yeah.
Because I think going to like Christians or going to
I mean, it's hard to find scholars
your
nowadays.
average Muslim, your average Muslim might not know about some things that you're talking about, right?
No, I understand that, but like I would go to some of my scholars on some people who were like really into the deen
Yes.
of Islam, and like and they would tell me like this is why it happened, this is why it happened, but even like knowing about Muhammad's lifestyle as well, like like I just like some reason I just cannot accept him to be the greatest example for mankind, or
Right.
for me to believe that he really was a man from God.
Okay, so I'll let Dr. Imran inshallah ask you some things as well and maybe talk to you. So Doctor, what would you say in terms of the brother's approach, Issue's approach, and how would you sort of decipher really what he said in a more meaningful way, let's say, for example?
So I identify with a lot of what you've said in the sense that when I was growing up, I also went to a mosque when my experiences were not very good, and because of that, it distanced me from the religion.
Yeah.
And I probably spent some of my youth where I wasn't very practicing. But then one of the things that I did do was actually research myself,
Church.
and as I did research, I sort of brought me more closer to realizing Islam is the truth. For me, it was never. I don't understand personally. I don't understand, even if you weren't not Muslim,
Yeah.
why Christianity would be anything viable, in my view. But I really, especially, I don't understand potential moral objections, because then you have to look at the principles that you applied. But so for you, when you were looking, what was your focus? Was it?
My main focus on it was the difference between who was he, who can't like all these known prophets and known saviors in all these kind of religions. The most one that makes sense to me was Jesus, like all these things that he did and how he died and came back alive. When I look at Muhammad, he died and he's still in the grave, and that for me, if I follow Muhammad, I'm like, if I end up following him, I might end up being in the grave. There might not be a resurrection because there's no proof of Muhammad resurrecting. So if I follow Muhammad, I'm going to end up where he is. But if I follow Jesus, he showed there is an afterlife by resurrecting, and he says I am the resurrection, and by resurrecting shows for humanity that there is a resurrection. So that's the one I want to follow.
So there's a problem with your approach. So you believe Jesus to be God, right? You're Trinitarian?
I believe Jesus to be God, yes.
Okay, so you're Trinitarian. So what you're doing is you're comparing a God, in your perspective, with a human being.
Okay.
You understand? So, first of all, the comparison is off anyway. Do you understand? It's completely off.
Okay.
So you have to establish a principle. Is the principle going to be that if someone dies and they're not resurrected visibly, they're not a prophet from God?
For me, just they need it. For me, I just believe they need the witnesses to see it. And
No.
Muhammad, although some people believe his soul's in the grave, and all
No, you hear my question, brother. We have the principle. If somebody dies and is not resurrected, it means they're a false prophet. They're not a prophet from God.
No, it doesn't. No, I said it doesn't mean they're a false prophet. But if you compare Jesus to Muhammad,
Yeah, well, that comparison we can come to.
Yeah.
But first we need to understand the principle, because you're applying a principle.
yeah.
You're saying you looked at the lives, and because one person died and was resurrected, and the other person died but wasn't resurrected, therefore you believe the one that was resurrected, not the other one. This is what
That's
you're saying.
That's one reason. That's
Okay.
just one reason.
But looking at that as a principle, is that a reasonable principle to determine truth of somebody or not? So, for
That's
example,
one of the not.
let me give you an example of Moses.
Yeah.
Moses died. Peace be upon him. Was he resurrected?
No. I don't follow Moses. I follow Jesus.
Does that make him a false prophet?
No, I didn't say that makes him a false prophet. But I'm just saying
So we're sort of making a little bit of headway.
Yeah.
So one thing we've agreed upon
Yeah.
is that somebody dying and not resurrecting.
No, it does make them a false prophet. You know what I mean? But it just makes it it just makes it more logical for God to come down and do this. You know what I mean?
Well,
to show that there is a resurrection.
Because you're adding other layers on. So God coming down, I would say, is illogical to start with, but we'll come to that.
Okay.
So first thing we've agreed is that just because somebody died and wasn't resurrected, it doesn't mean they're a false prophet.
It doesn't mean, but for me, it's just more reasonable to believe in somebody resurrecting. For me to know that there is an afterlife.
So
He
at
showed it.
the time of Moses, you would reject him.
At the time, Moses, I probably would have rejected him. Yes, that's why. When I was looking at all these these prophets in the Quran, I still couldn't believe it. But when I was looking at Jesus,
At the time of Moses,
Yeah.
you would have rejected him if he died?
if at the time Moses, I probably would have knew. No, I probably not I probably would have knew this man may have been for God. I probably would have researched, but
But
I
how
probably
what criteria?
Okay.
So this is what I'm getting to.
yeah.
what other than because you put one forward, one criteria.
Yeah, yeah.
You said the criteria is dying and coming back to life.
Yeah, so if it was
So
just
now,
Moses,
now
I
I'm
wouldn't-
applying it to Moses.
Yeah.
He didn't die and come back to life. If apply it to Noah, to Abraham, Isaac, Ishmael, whoever you want to apply it to, they didn't die and come back to life. So would you say that all of these are false prophets?
No, they ain't false prophets. Christ actually confirmed these people. So that's when I look at these brothers, Jesus, who I knew was real, as he confirmed these people, yeah, I do believe it. And my personal relationship I have with the Lord Jesus, like I know he's the truth.
So brother, what the brother's saying to you is that this criteria that you initially said, that
Yeah.
Jesus died and came back alive,
Yeah.
Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Jesus, peace be upon him, Muhammad, peace be upon him, died and he's still in the grave. In other words, he did not resurrect, yes?
Yeah.
What you said, brother, was that was one of the reasons that you rejected the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So what Brother Imran is trying to show you is that, and I think you've agreed in some sort of a roundabout way, that dying and not resurrecting is not a reason to reject the Prophet. Would you accept that?
I disagree. Actually, I disagree.
So that's why I asked you about Moses.
Yeah, I said. Yeah, I
You
said.
would-
That
you
if I was in that time, I probably wouldn't have believed them. To be honest, I probably wouldn't have believed them. But because Christ came and confirmed these people, and that's why I believe
That's
it.
fascinating because what you're. So this means if you were alive at the time of the Prophet
Yeah,
Moses,
I probably would reject it. I'm a skeptic, you know.
yeah, but that's a problem now.
Yeah.
Because we know the Prophet Moses, peace be upon him, was a true prophet
Prophet
sent
of
by
God.
Allah.
Yeah, but for me, I know that's what I'm saying. But
Now-
I'm a skeptic, so
But that's what I mean. Your skepticism has put you in a place where you would reject the truth.
yeah.
So that means that the criteria that you're using, they're not the correct criteria.
No,
Do
but
you
anyone can
understand?
say they're a prophet, or they can like.
Yeah, I understand.
But you can. It's not. It's hard
No,
to
but
believe.
brother,
you know what I
do you
mean?
see the point that brother's just made? What he's saying to you is that your criteria that you're using would have meant that even according to your beliefs,
Okay.
you would have rejected a true prophet
Yeah,
if you
I-
use that
yeah.
criteria.
Yeah.
So what you should,
Yeah.
so what you should say now is actually, you know what, Dr. Imran, that criteria that I was adopting has to be wrong.
No.
Let me. I'm not trying to corner you here.
Yeah.
Just please listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That criteria that I mentioned has to be wrong because clearly Moses was a prophet.
Yeah, but now, yeah.
And the fact that I would have rejected him would have been the wrong thing to do. Do you understand my point, brother?
Yeah, but you said
so that's what the brother's trying to explain.
You saying
to
if I was living in that time and Moses was saying these things, I probably would have rejected him because I'm a skeptic. I don't really believe things like that. But when someone comes and shows these things and shows us that he is God by all his actions and stuff he's doing, and by like raising himself up and showing himself to the disciples, where there's actually evidence of these disciples seeing Jesus Christ in his like resurrection form, it's more. It's
So
more
how do you know that Moses was a prophet?
because Jesus talked about him a lot and Jesus pretty much confirmed
And
it.
how do you know that Jesus was God and was sent by God?
Because I don't believe that a man can raise himself up from the dead.
No.
And-
But how do you know that that's true? That's what I'm asking.
Oh yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Because there's evidence of Jesus' resurrection, and like I don't believe
What is? Because you keep referring
Yeah.
to this resurrection.
So, but-
first,
yeah.
so let's break this down a bit. So we've agreed that at the time of Moses, alayhi salam, if you had been there, you would have rejected him despite him being a true prophet of God,
Yeah.
because you have a criteria that isn't applicable, doesn't
Yeah.
determine the truth of the prophethood. Okay. So for you, it's not really about whether you're a true prophet or not. It's actually about whether you resurrect or not.
that's one of the things.
Okay,
I was
that's
looking
fine.
at,
I'm
yeah.
glad. So we've underlined
Yeah.
that. So whether you're truthfully a prophet from God or not, it doesn't make a difference. If you die and you're not resurrected, you're false. Yeah, that's your criteria.
That's one of the criteria.
And I think, and I'm just being straightforward with you, I think that's a problematic criteria.
Just one of the criteria.
Because by that criteria, you make everyone
All the
Musa,
prophets.
No, because
Moses,
but Jesus
Abraham-
has confirmed his
I
people.
understand,
You know
but
what I mean? So
this is post hoc.
okay, post.
That means for you, your criteria means that you would have rejected all of these people.
Yeah, because imagine somebody say I'm a prophet. It's
I
hard to
understand.
believe, you know.
Just statement is, I agree with you.
It's
But
hard
there's
to-
other things that the prophets bring apart from that. Now the second thing is you talked about the resurrection. Yeah?
Resurrection, yes.
Evidence for the resurrection, yeah?
Resurrection, yes.
What was the evidence for the resurrection?
Oh, so the evidences were the disciples, in fact, and these disciples who were especially like forget Mark and Luke. It was John and Matthew. They were with Jesus Christ, and these were the one who actually
Where does it say they were with Jesus Christ?
these were the disciples of Jesus Christ, right? John.
They were not with him.
No, John was he was in the he saw Jesus on the cross.
So this is the thing.
He saw Jesus on the cross.
Okay, let's have this conversation. So there are 4 Gospels.
Yeah.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Yeah.
So Mark, you took. Why did you take Mark away?
Mark is not really for me
Because he's
like
not a disciple.
no, he's not really a disciple.
And then
so,
you took
like,
Luke away.
because Luke's actually good because he was actually we'll put Luke in. But he was not actually a disciple
He
at
wasn't
the
there.
time. No, he wasn't on time.
So
But
so
Luke
he's
is
not-
good
So
'cause-
Mark is not an eyewitness. Luke is not an eyewitness.
I mean, Luke is not an eyewitness of the cross. No.
Mark neither.
Mark
He
was an
wasn't
eyewitness of Jesus'
there.
teachings and sayings.
But he
and his-
wasn't. He didn't see the crucifixion. He wasn't there. Mark wasn't there.
No, but John was there. I believe.
Okay.
John.
So
I believe Luke needs to be there as well because Luke was with. Yeah.
Because Luke and Mark, we agree, are not disciples.
No.
They weren't present at the crucifixion. Okay?
No.
So they were not eyewitnesses. You cannot claim that.
They went. I would not the
Okay,
not
great.
the.
So that's fine. Then you have Matthew and you have
John.
John. Okay. What do they talk about when Jesus is arrested in the
Yeah.
Garden of Gethsemane? What do they say about it?
when he was praying.
When he was arrested?
Yeah. So when they were praying, right, and
What happened?
the soldiers they came to him
What happened?
and
What happened? To
Judas
the
kissed
disciples?
Jesus and then the disciples got arrested.
No.
Like
The
Peter.
disciples never got arrested.
No, they didn't arrest him, but they got taken away and Peter denied him 3 times.
No. The disciples did got taken away. What happened to them?
No, I would say the disciples, like Peter, like when he was there, and then Jesus got taken to the high
Peter
priest.
didn't write a gospel.
He wrote 1 book. He wrote a book
He
of
didn't
Peter.
write the gospel.
But it's still a high witness
No.
book he wrote.
But did he talk about the crucifixion with them?
He did talk about Jesus
No.
Christ, like his life and his crucifixion.
We're focusing on.
He did talk about
your
Jesus, yes.
The resurrection.
Okay, yeah.
No.
No, but Peter saw Jesus in his resurrection though. He saw him.
What you have to do is, if you're going to make the claim that a certain person is an eyewitness to the crucifixion,
Okay.
you need to bring their words to me.
So when the Bible
yeah.
says they all forsook him and fled,
That's the point. So this is what the disciple says. Those texts.
I think
say-
John saw it. I think I got the verse of it.
No, this is what it says.
they
in the
all
text.
forsook him and fled.
When Jesus was arrested.
But we were talking about the resurrection. That's what
Yes.
we were talking about. That's
Yeah,
what,
we are. But
And they
first-
saw him after the
no, when you
resurrection.
said eyewitness crucifixion,
Yeah, I think John saw it. John and Mary.
but the Bible says they all forsook him and fled. In
Yeah,
other
they-
words, none of them were there.
No, yeah. So after that, they did run. But when John and Mary like did see it, John got told
So
to
we
go
don't
away.
have a Gospel of Mary. Do you have a Gospel of Mary?
No.
Okay. So we're talking about eyewitness testimony means the testimony comes from those people, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Matthew and John were not present.
Here it is for John. It says, near the cross of Jesus stood his mother, sister, Mary the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother standing there and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby,
So-
he said to her, "Woman, here is your son."
But there's a
So
problem.
Jesus saw.
Wait a second.
John saw
It
him
says-
on the cross.
No. There's a given name of who was there.
It was John and Mary.
It doesn't say that. So we don't have writings from it. So you have to understand this point. This very specific point. There is a claim being made from you.
It's in John 19.
What does it say? The disciple who
So
loved him.
when Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved, and we can see the disciple whom he loved was John.
No,
and
hang-
Jesus.
David, this is the jump.
Okay.
So there is no name provided.
But it says it.
Hang on wait a second. Let me just make the point. The name of the disciple who he loved, whatever that means, is not provided. Have there been in Christian history discussions about the identity of who this disciple is?
Yes.
Okay. So what does that mean? That it's not clear from the text who the disciple is. You agree with me or
No,
disagree?
there's people. So there's actually people like when John was on the. So obviously because John was the disciple whom Jesus loved, and then Jesus talks about. I'm going to say it. So then the scripture talks about how the disciple whom Jesus loved wrote this book, which is the book of John. And now your question was about.
So I'm asking you, are there people who
Yeah.
have looked at this and said that the person being described,
John.
the identity
Yeah.
is not clear?
We have. I think his name is Polycarp, and Polycarp was actually.
They gave at least two. They gave at least two possibilities, right?
Yes, we have Polycarp, and Polycarp was an actual historian as well, and he was actually he witnessed John. He was with John.
What you're doing is
And he confirmed it.
because we're trying to. This is what I mean. You're taking words of people.
Polycarp is a
rather-
historian. He's a church father.
Yes, you can be a historian, but the historians take the words of people.
No, he was with John.
Did he witness the crucifixion?
No, but John witnessed it, and John
This
told
is what
these
I mean.
words to Polycarp.
This is what I'm saying to you. Because I want you to think clearly and take your time. Yeah? I'm not trying to trap you.
But why would John lie? Because he pretty much was facing persecution for his faith. So why would he lie?
Yeah, but the Buddhists face persecution for their faith.
Yeah.
The Sikhs face persecution
Yeah,
for their
but-
faith.
yeah, but
the Muslims
yeah.
face.
Of
So
course.
facing persecution for your faith is not an evidence of truth.
But he was willing to die for his
Yes.
faith. So why would he
But
make
that's
up
what
a
it
lie?
means. There are Buddhists. So there are people. So if a Hindu is willing to die for their faith, and many have in the past,
Yeah.
does that mean that their religion is true?
No, but they must have died for a different reason, though. You know what I mean? Like,
No. They died because they believe their religion is true.
Yeah.
Does that
yeah.
make their religion true?
To them? No, but I'm just saying, with John.
Ish, you're not understanding. You're not even
No,
asking-
I'm saying, so with John.
Ish.
You're not answering the
Try
question.
to at least engage
Yeah,
with
you're
the
not-
conversation.
I am.
No, what the brother's asking
panicking.
you, what the brother's asking you, look, calm down, relax, right?
Yeah.
It's having a nice discussion, right? What the brother is asking you
Yeah.
is that you claim that why would these people
Die
die
for their faith.
if it wasn't true?
No, if they
What-
didn't see the event happening, that's what they
No,
done.
no.
They were proclaiming that he did die.
But Ish, to be fair, you said if they didn't believe it was true. And what Brother Imran is showing you is that Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Muslims,
Yeah.
all sorts of
But-
people, they die while being persecuted
Yeah.
because what they believe to be true.
Yeah.
So what that should then show you is that actually that's not a criteria to use to differentiate truth from error. You understand my point? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know. So,
Does that make sense? Is that fair? Is that
that's what I
fair?
said. But the difference is, with Christianity, is an event that happened, and these people
just gonna
were
pray.
preaching that Jesus Christ was crucified and he was resurrected, and this is what the main message was. And these Hindus and stuff like that, they just died because they just received revelations, and they were saying this is true. But revelation can come from like demons, so that's why I wouldn't trust these religions.
but what you're confusing is, because you are confused in this, but I'm telling you, what you're confusing is, you're trying to find, you're saying that Hindus, I don't believe that what they believe is true, and therefore they're dying for it doesn't mean it's true. But when it comes to Christianity, you're saying because these Christians died for their beliefs, this is the claim.
They didn't die for their belief. They didn't just die for their belief, but they died because they were like
what they
proclaiming
believed.
an event that happened.
That's what they believed.
Yeah.
That's what they believed.
Yeah, but these Hindus, they didn't
Yeah, I
have any
understand.
events
So the Hindus,
that they died
yes,
based upon.
they believed in their religion, and these other people, these Christians, they believed in what they believed, their religion.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, it's clear that the disciples forsook Jesus and fled.
But I showed you the verse right now.
Yeah, but all you showed me the verse was that there was somebody, without naming who the person is.
The disciple whom Allah is referred to Jesus.
Okay.
And if you look at the whole John, like towards the end of John, it says it that this disciple whom Jesus loved wrote this book, which the name of the book is
but
called
there's a
John.
problem. The name of the book was given afterwards.
Yeah.
It wasn't put on. It was the first.
Yeah.
It wasn't there in the beginning. So the name was added to the text.
Yeah.
Do you understand what
Yeah.
that means? What does that mean? That
So-
means that they didn't know who the person was. The name was later attributed to the book.
Okay.
One thing. Second thing, the book of John isn't like any of the other gospels, is it?
I believe these gospels are similar. They have many similar teachings in there.
Do you know the synoptic gospels?
The Gospel of Thomas and stuff like that.
No, synoptic gospels.
Oh, like
Have you heard of that?
what, like Mark, Matthew, and Luke, them ones?
So the three of the gospels are synoptic.
Yeah.
It means they roughly tell a similar story.
Yeah.
And John is the odd one out. Why is it the odd one out?
Because John was written later on. Is that what you're trying to say?
It was written later
Yeah.
on, but why is it the odd one out?
I don't know. You tell me.
Because it tells a different story. It tells a different story. It tells a different timeline. It uses different phrases. It has Jesus saying different things.
No, but you see, like
So what I'm trying
that's
to
a good thing though, because imagine if
Okay.
for example, if you had a book and someone was to make up a story, right? One person, everything will be the same. But because there's different things in there and it's so close together, we can see that it's written by many different people who witnessed many different things. So imagine like a car crash happened. You're going to have many different testimonies on that account. Somebody's going to see from that distance, somebody's going to see from that distance. You're going to have many different accounts on that eyewitness report. It's the same with the gospel. There's many.
Okay.
The
So
messages.
this is the problem, because you're saying that there's many accounts. Mark and Luke, not eyewitnesses. So there's two. There's two.
Yeah.
There's two. John and Matthew that are left. Their names are not on those gospels originally.
No, he is.
The names are not on the Gospels originally. They were later attributed to them, 2nd century maybe
because you have
onwards.
a charge for the called Polycarps and Polycarp
they
and
were-
Eusebius.
but
These are
this-
church fathers who agreed with it.
But these were later attributed to the text. Later attributed to the text.
Okay.
They were not there originally.
No, I would disagree with that because we know these people wrote it because these
No,
church.
you don't have to take my word for it. The names were attributed later to these texts. They were not there. Okay, that's one thing. The second thing is that these people give a different account. So if there was a car crash and you had two different people, and one person says the car was blue, the other one says the car was red, you're still going to say it's a good thing, or is that a mistake?
That's a mistake in a way. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a problem. We have a similar problem with this accounts.
Yeah.
So none of the accounts of the crucifixion.
In that case, you can like I don't know if there was a car crash and someone might have seen red and blue, they still see a car crash. It still would have happened. But somebody may have just just had a, these things can happen. I've heard many stories where these things actually do happen. So
which one would be correct?
I believe that's where you have to go to.
Is the car red or is the car blue?
That's why you have to go to other witnesses, and this is why John he approached many different people, who then.
Do you have writing of any other witnesses?
No, we haven't got any witnesses. But we have Paul, who wrote in his book that he met these 500 people.
No, yeah, but that's hearsay. Do you want to understand what hearsay is?
Heresy.
Hearsay.
No. Hearsay.
Do you know what hearsay is? No. Okay. If you're a witness, then you have my words that I witnessed something.
Yeah.
If I said to you, 600 people witnessed this, you don't have 600 witnesses. You have one witness.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So for me saying there were 6,000 people with the Prophet Muhammad, and therefore we have 6,000 witnesses. That's not. It won't be true.
I don't see why Paul would lie, because he died for his faith as well.
That's another thing. Dying for your faith, we've already established, it doesn't mean it's true.
It means something that what you have seen is true. That's what it does.
So if
I wouldn't die for something that I'm lying about. I would never do that.
No one is saying that they were insincere. What I'm saying to you is, if a Hindu dies because they believe in their religion to be true, does it make it true? If a Buddhist dies because they believe their religion to be true, does it make it true?
Yeah, but no, it doesn't make it true. But
okay.
if they die because they've seen these things, then it's true.
It's the same thing.
No,
it's the same thing. You're taking the testimony of Christians and you're holding it to a different standard than you are everyone else's.
All we're saying to you is, just be reasonable.
I'll be reasonable.
No.
I think you should.
What I'm trying to say to you is so when someone if you said something to me that actually makes sense.
So do you guys believe Jesus was crucified?
But just hang on. Listen to what I'm saying.
We'll come to your.
Listen to what I'm saying, right? If you said something to me that actually I said, you know what, Ish, that is very reasonable. You made a reasonable point, a fair point, yeah. I would have to accept that on the basis that what you said is rational, it's logical. You understand what I'm saying, brother?
Yeah, I understand.
So what I'm saying is, you're saying that it must have been true because they were prepared to die for their beliefs, right?
That's one of the reasons.
I understand, but that's not a reason anymore, because the doctor's already established to you that a Hindu might do that, a Buddhist
I've told them that reason though.
But what
I'll let you talk that.
You understand what I'm saying, yeah? So therefore that can't be a reason.
What you're saying is, when Hindus and Buddhists and other people die for their religion, it's still not true. But when a Christian dies for the religion, it's true.
Can I speak?
Yeah, you can, but that's a double standard.
So what I was trying to say is, when these Hindus die and Buddhists die based on the face of what they saw, I believe that to be a true testimony. I believe they have seen these things, right? And it's the same thing with Christians. When these disciples died because of an event that happened, and they were saying that Jesus was crucified and resurrecting, and then later on to die.
So you're saying that when a Hindu dies for their religion, it means their religion is true?
No, I didn't say that. I said that. So in what context were they dying for? In what context did they die?
Because they're dying because they're being persecuted for their faith. I'll give you an example. A Buddhist who's being persecuted.
It proves that testimony was true. Whatever they were mentioning about that religion.
Okay. So that means that the Buddhist is true. Is that Buddhist? Their religion therefore becomes true.
It depends what context it is. Because if a Buddhist says that they have seen Buddha and then goes on later to die for it, I don't see.
You would believe that?
It seems very likable to believe that then Muhammad came 600 years after. That's
so this is another sort of.
It goes into it.
Yeah, but this is the whole point. So you're believing anyone.
So what I'm saying with all these statements, and all these witness brought, it's more believable than Muhammad.
Which statements?
Even the Book of James, Peter. These are people with Jesus.
In the Book of James, there's no the death or resurrection.
No, James was a witness.
In the Book of James, there is no death or resurrection.
No, but James is mentioned in the Bible to seeing Jesus Christ after his resurrection, and he was an unbeliever.
You're not hearing what I'm saying to you. In the Book of James, there is no death or resurrection.
I'm not talking about the resurrection in the Book of James, but I'm just saying in the I think it's the Book of Acts, whatever book it was. Yeah, I think it's the Book of Acts, and the James was mentioned where he was preaching as well, and then goes on to die for his faith. And he was an unbeliever at the time.
Yeah, but look,
he was an unbeliever at the time.
You know, you're sort of not following a chain of thought. So, in the book of James, there's no mention of death and resurrection. In fact, it talks about faith and works.
Faith and works.
Faith and works. Opposite of what most Christians believe, because you're saved by faith alone, according to
But
Paul.
there's evidence of him like preaching
One
and stuff
second.
like that.
Yeah, I'm not talking about him not preaching. I'm talking about him holding the beliefs that you believe. So he doesn't mention death and resurrection in his book. James, the brother of Jesus, yeah.
But he does witness he was with Jesus, though, wasn't he? So we can trust
we
that.
don't deny Jesus' existence. We're not denying that. We are trying to prove something specific. You're trying to talk about the death and resurrection of Jesus.